Welcome back, guys. My name is Demitry Sebastian.
And I'm Wes Kendall.
And we are back in session where your fitness and lifestyle questions are answered and bro science is put to the test. We have another episode full of wonderful questions, which I've been loving. I think it's awesome. I think that that's really where we shine. We start answering the weird wonders of the entire world.
Helping people sift through the fake fitness news.
Exactly. And it's in the tagline at the beginning. And sometimes, we drifted away from that. And now I'm glad to see that we're firmly planted in the war against disinformation.
Yes.
The lamestream media wants you to think that gains are something easily done, but it's a lifestyle. It's a choice. And we're here to show that to you.
And we have some minor fact checking we might throw out there too.
Yeah, I mean, I got to fact check myself daily. That's basically what happens anyways. Demitry says something that's like half true and then you expand it to full true.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's tiers to it. Do you want bad information? There's no misinformation, but there's pseudo information.
Yeah, it's like bro science, 50% magic, 50% fact,
and I live in that
results.
I'm basically just like an elf. I'm a pixie of the fitness world. I just live in the magical realm where things are sort of true. It's like, yeah, Demitry, that's not necessarily wrong, but I'm not going to call it right.
Yes, that's where we exist in that fine line.
Exactly. You're a scientist. I'm a wizard.
Yes.
Do I have any real powers? No, but during my Dungeons and Dragons experiences, I'm a very smart man.
Yeah. Apex predator.
Apex predator. Exactly. Well, let's go ahead and roll straight into. We got a bunch of good ones today. And this is my favorite one. I'm glad it got right to the front because I was disappointed when I had this answer to me a long time ago. And it's if I work out, if I lift weights, will I get bulky?
If you're Ronnie Coleman, yes.
Yeah. So this question is great because it's the same question gets asked from different groups, typically from people who either want to get leaner or women who are afraid of looking more masculine. Mm-hmm. And then you have people who want to be bodybuilders or guys who want to be huge and stuff like that. They ask the same question with a different outcome, hopeful in it. And the answer is, it's not that simple.
Right. There's many more parts to it. And I think people who usually ask this question are like miles away from being bulky anyway. So it's like something that shouldn't be on their radar.
Well, it's almost like, if I run, will I get skinny?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you run enough, if you eat properly, same thing with bulky. If I lift weights, will I get bulky? If you do it enough, if you consume enough protein. But that's where the whole thing of like abs are made in the kitchen. You can't beat a bad diet. You can work out great, but it always comes down to protein at the end of the day. Like if you're not getting those proper calories, those proper proteins, like no, you won't get bulky. And for, women who are concerned and are like, I don't want to look like a man. I don't want to do this, that, and the other. It's like, look at most of your Fitspos who like do their cool booty pop pictures and all of that stuff.
Right.
It's they probably lift heavy.
Yes.
They do great work. You want to look like them? Like, trust me, like I'm sure somewhere they have posted what their numbers are and you cannot squat as much as them.
Yeah. Like a lot of times people think that they're automatically going to just put on a ton of muscle, without hitting their other nutritional requirements and being at the proper body fat level. I think another big thing is people forget that in order to lose weight and get toned, not just like lose weight and watch the scale move, but I'm talking about losing inches. What you have to do is you have to lift like you're trying to make gains. Mm-hmm. If you don't, then you'll actually lose muscle while you're dieting. So, it gets you farther away.
And is there a genetic factor? We always come back. Yes, there is. Those of us who are in the thick boy camp will have an easier time bulking than those that are very lean. And it's not necessarily an issue of, I grow muscles faster. It's more like you have more to cultivate with. Mm-hmm. You have a propensity to hold on to nutrients. You don't have as high of a metabolism that's just burning it off to keep you alive. It's there so that you can actually make use of it.
Yeah.
But that being said, for skinny folks, you can train your body to do similar things.
Yeah. That's a big thing depending on your hormones and where you're at with hunger, satiety. But yeah, I think people think that even if they're like, I gain weight easily, you're not going to become like Arnold Schwarzenegger big, automatically. It'd take a lot of years of cutting and bulking before that happens. That's
an excellent problem to have. Yeah. Just be like, I'm just too handsome. I'm just too sexy. I'm too talented. I'm too smart. I'm just misunderstood in my generation because of how wonderful I am. That sounds like an insane statement. That's like saying like I just gain muscle too easily. Yeah. It's the same statement. These are people who are like apex predators in their craft. There are people that are freaks and they're just suddenly good at football. There's people who are really good at being smart. There are people that are great at putting on muscle, but ultimately, like, you'll know if you have that problem, and we can have a separate discussion in the event that is true.
Yeah, people who have that problem like have to restrict their eating on purpose, like of protein and stuff like that. It's not like, they have a different problem that 90% of us don't have.
I'm just imagining some giant dude like bull in a china shop, like, I just want to have this glass figurine business and my traps are too big and I keep knocking everything over and it's ruining my life. Everyone's running from me.
Scratch the back of your head.
Just real quick. Hulk smash.
Yeah, can't fit into my Kia smart car.
I want to comb my hair. It's just that my hair is always messed up, and every time I try to hug someone, they die.
Yes.
It's just not a real problem, guys. You'll be all right. All right, next one.
Fake news.
What does it mean if I gain body fat but lose weight?
Yes. So that's a good one. I hear that one often because people are dieting and they're watching the scale drop, but they're seeing their body fat go up and they're like, why is that happening? I thought I was losing weight.
Yeah.
And that kind of feeds into exactly what we're just talking about. You can lose weight and it can come from muscle instead of fat.
Yes.
And that's like losing pounds, but losing inches, which is what we focus on 5-star. So it's like, I think that when people don't lift properly and hard enough, intensely enough, and they don't eat enough protein, then the weight that they lose comes from muscle. So it's like you almost have to give your body a reason to hold on to the muscle while you're dropping, or else you won't even lose fat when you're dieting.
Our bodies are stupid.
Yeah.
And they cannibalize from places that don't make sense sometimes. And it's all evolutionary stuff. When you have fats, like, it's a lot like a bear, like, that's going to hibernate. We have the fat so that when we have a plague or a famine or whatever going on back in, a millennia ago, we would be able to survive through those times. As far as muscles go, muscles are calorically expensive.
Yes.
So if we don't need them, if we're not fighting saber-toothed tigers, if we're not attacking enemy villages and all of this stuff, like, we don't need those muscles because they cost us calories. So our body says, oh, we're not destroying our enemies and climbing up mountains, like, don't need it. But our body always thinks there's a potential that everything's going to go south. So I need to make sure that I have this fat wad on my stomach so that I can survive the oncoming winter storm that is going to destroy the population.
Yeah.
That is why it is the way that it is. And you have to be on top of it. So, as a lot of people say, you go to the gym, you take souls, you simulate that you're having problems.
Yeah.
We don't have problems anymore. You sit at your desk, you make things happen. So you stress your body out so that it keeps those muscles and it makes it think that you need to be kicking ass every single day. And you use up those fat reserves and you fight the evolutionary battle. Your body is trying to keep you safe. It doesn't know any better. You know better than your body. Make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Your body doesn't know any better. It's just doing what it's programmed to do. So you have to send it the right signal, basically. So unless you're creating enough of a demand to hold on to muscle, then there is no reason to have it. So it's just that simple.
Except for looking mad good.
Well, that's what we want, not what our body wants.
Our body is just like, man, I see Arnold Schwarzenegger, an evolutionary standpoint, like, get rid of all the fat. We will die in the next famine because we are looking shredded.
Yes.
So
burn through your calories in 48 hours. Yeah.
What a wonderful next question.
Yeah.
What are the best vegan sources of protein? Because we always jump to vegetarian responses like eggs, that's totally not murder. Whey, that's not murder. But the vegans say that's not murder, but it is slavery. So how do you get protein when you can't bring in any of the things that murder and enslave our animal kin?
So no mothers or faces?
No mothers or faces.
Yes.
Although I did read somewhere that when you cut the grass, that nice smell is it's screaming out to other grass to flee, which I don't think grass can do. I don't know. The grass has it's a hive mind, guys, so don't eat the grass in the front yard either.
Oh, yikes. Okay, well, my dog eats that sometimes.
Well, that's actually funny because it is a distress signal.
Yeah, but
what
you tell the other grass.
Yeah.
I actually have to go in on this because I have a tattoo
of stressed out grass.
For stressed out grapes. When grapes get stressed, they release a chemical, and that is what I got tattooed. But yes, when grass gets cut, it releases a chemical that informs other grass. The maybe don't hang out here.
And then the grass. I
else.
actually think the real answer is that it pulls down like moisture and like nutrients to the roots, so that it's less like detrimental when it gets cut.
But that's that good smell that you get.
But moral of the story is veganism is also murder. So there's no winning, guys. So we'll do it for our health.
Yeah.
The health response for veganism. Well, yeah, but how do you actually get protein for that? Like, where does it exist?
Okay, well, it exists in combining different partial protein sources to make complete protein. So, like some of the easy ones is, they do food combos like, whole grains and like corn, or like rice and beans, a grain and a type of like
Lentils are pretty good.
Those combined together can create full protein sources. The problem is you get about twice as much grams and calories of carbs than you do protein when doing that, because they are carbohydrate, plant, starchy foods. Another easier way, if you're trying to like stay lower calorie, would be like protein powder blends, like from plant sources. They have a couple different options that are complete proteins, and
there's pea, hemp, soy.
That's an option, but I feel like the better ones would be like the plant blends. Has multiple plants combining to make the protein source. So it may be one of those. Those I think offer a better complete source.
Yeah, and it sucks because a lot of plant proteins are not made as far as powders, they're not all made equal. Right. And a lot of times, especially if you go to like Whole Foods, a lot of the options are kind of like they were just making it so that people get to feel good about it. Right. Like, yeah, I eat my plant stuff. I'm a better person than you. But Pea Science was one I tried that I felt like actually was pretty good, tastes good, and it also had like the combination of that. They have the hemp ones. It gets complicated. Like by being a vegan, you've made that choice. You probably understand that life's gonna be pretty difficult for you moving forward.
It's not set up to make it easy, unfortunately. Which that's just kind of how it is right now.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a solution there. You can make things happen, and it's like you said, beans, lentils. There are veggies that have protein in them. Yeah. But as we learned,
products obviously in
Game Changers, it's gonna be hard to be an elite athlete while being a vegan.
Yeah, it makes it harder. And no one's saying that you can't do it when you can't reach high levels of success and progress. We're just saying that you're choosing a more uphill, difficult path.
And as long as you understand that moving forward, it's fine. And it's a choice you make. It's we like to bust the chops of vegans and everything, but you've made the choice that like you're like, I don't want to be a part of a system that is destructive in nature and destroying the environment, yada yada yada. These things are all bad things. There are detriments to that. There's a reason that we have factory farms and all this stuff, because it makes things easier for everyone. Yeah. You've decided to take the high road, and there are difficulties that come with that.
Hey, let's not talk about the soy farms in the rainforest.
Oh, dude. Now, if you want to start talking about micro ecosystems, all the mice and all of the, the rainforest you're driving over, vegans, killing grass, murderers.
Things, quinoa.
Let me tell you something, vegans. We're all humans and we're the worst.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
We're all part of the worst.
We live in Arizona. We should not exist here. It was a king of the hill. Phoenix is a monument to man's arrogance.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
So,
well, it's becoming tropical this year.
No, but eating quinoa has actually been a huge detriment to underdeveloped countries, because they were using that as a main nutritional source.
Yeah.
And now that America is eating up all that quinoa, there was a limited source in the first place, and now it doesn't get to go to those third world countries.
Yeah, because we're buying it.
We're just prices. The worst. We're the worst.
Funny. Yeah.
Quinoa, millet,
the
all
damn
that
quinoa.
Stuff.
Well, I mean,
I kind of think quinoa kind of sucks.
Into chunks.
Quinoa kind of sucks.
It's I can see that. That's quinoa.
If you guys want to if you want to get me started on corn is a shit crop, but that has no protein in it. That's besides the point.
Actually, corn, when combined with the grain, produces a decent amount of protein.
Look at me. Don't look at him. Look at me. It's a shit crop. It's good for ethanol.
I was going to say, I drink a lot, but...
Just corn.
Corn subsidies up.
Corn whiskey every single day. Corn whiskey, a PBR, and a cigarette. We call that a paper route. It's what we built America off of. Next question is, this actually, when you sent it in, it was kind of redacted. DNA diet. What is that when the people say that, because of my genetic background, I can only eat this certain way?
I had some clients ask me about it. They were saying, oh, I heard so-and-so is doing this DNA diet where you have to eat certain foods that are, your basically born to eat. Is, you know, the best way I can describe it. You know, based on your genetic profile and stuff like that.
Almost sounds like eugenics, but carry on.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like some people. Yeah, I guess there's some doctors or like trainers out there that have methods to determine what your DNA wants you to eat. I think the idea of it is really, really cool because it's like, you know, say for example, you come from like a Irish descent.
Potatoes,
you know,
only.
They've been eating potatoes for like thousands of years or something like that.
Corned beef hash, potatoes.
That type of like red meat and potatoes, things like that. Potentially, your genetic markers may set you up physiologically to be better at eating those foods and better at digesting and better at processing nutrients from it and providing enzymes, things like that, than eating like corn and like things that they eat in Mexico.
Let me meet you in the middle here.
Okay.
Because I think there's just some sense here.
Yeah.
To a degree. Because I think it almost is better to tell you what you shouldn't eat than what you should eat. Because a good example is a lot of people in certain regions are more lactose intolerant than others.
Yeah.
Or a lot of island nations and Native Americans, like they don't process like alcohol as well. Or, you know, if you are from like the Inuits, I believe, like up north, like they process fats and proteins really well, but like the second they have carbs, like their body just like kind of stores it immediately. So I do think there's something there. And also that it almost brings you back to like just becoming a wholesome diet, because if you look historically at everyone's diet, they're healthier than they are now. No one historically ate Cheez-Its. So it's like, oh, Demitry, you're Puerto Rican.
Doritos.
All they ate was rice, beans, and like pork. It's like, okay, those things aren't necessarily bad for you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Sicilian. Okay, the Mediterranean diet has pretty much been proved to be pretty good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cheez-Its and drumstick ice creams do not fall into either of those diets, and I think I'll be healthier no matter what just from doing that.
I think, I agree. Like that's kind of what they do. They say these are the foods you're allergic to. You shouldn't eat these ones. I don't know if it's a legit diet yet, but one thing that made me think about it is, you know, I just got back from this Hawaii trip and I asked, like, we went on a couple tours, met some local Hawaiians and stuff like that. And I asked them like, hey, what foods were like indigenous here, you know, for like the people who came to Hawaii like 2,000 years ago or whenever they did. And it was like mostly fish. There was like some roots that they ate and like some like other tree plants. Or not tree, like fruits and stuff like that. Coconuts. You're right. Coconuts and like mangoes and things like that.
Coconut, fruit, fish.
Yeah.
Abalone or whatever they were, stuff like that.
Yeah, things like that. And they actually made like a grain like substance from the poi. Whatever.
Maybe you catch a bird every once in a while.
Yeah.
But imagine how healthy that is just from like a standpoint. And then even though they brought like pigs there and they were successful there, still, it wasn't until like modern functions
like
happened.
Food, there's gravy added to everything. Everything's breaded. It's like sugar, alcohol, and flour. Those three things completely changed their diet, and it changed how the people like.
You could make a solid argument that if you removed sugar, alcohol, and flour from like everyone's diet, they'd probably all be better people.
Maybe
just in a general sense.
A solid argument.
I mean, like from like a nation building standpoint, like sugar, flour, good things. We should have those. But if you're like overweight, it's like don't drink, don't eat sweets, stop eating white bread.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm in such great shape. I'm just getting so buff. I can't stop. It's ruining my life. Yeah. But it is interesting. I think it is interesting, and I think that there's a weird way to look at it, and there's a nice way to look at it. But I think if we focus on like the constructive route of like, because it starts getting like really crunchy really quickly. Yeah. It's being like, oh yes, you're from sub-Saharan Africa. You should only be eating zebra. Yeah. It's like what?
Tree bark.
Like what is this? What is going on here? It's like no, it doesn't have to be that way, but.
Is that horse meat like not even good for you?
Horse meat is super high in protein, low in fat. It just tastes bad. It's just not great.
It's stringy and dry.
The French eat frogs' legs and horse legs. It's just like you guys like.
It's like
and they also like pump birds with food until they suffocate and die, and eat it under a napkin to hide themselves from God.
An ortolan.
Yes.
What?
I'll show you later. It's super funny. It's like, I think it's illegal now. They literally just like make a small bird suffer, and then they boil it, and then they eat it under a napkin to hide themselves from God.
Okay.
Okay, so like
we're gonna have to move past it.
It wasn't to hide themselves from God, but you do eat it under a napkin.
You do eat it under a napkin.
Ew.
They say it's not to hide themselves from God. I know the truth. Stay subscribed if you want to know the truth. Oh my God. All right, let's go ahead and move to a quick break. We will see you guys in just a moment.
Yeah.
As always, guys, thank you for joining us. You can find us on BNS_radio on YouTube. Check it out. The videos are great. We're very handsome, if I do say so myself.
My mom says so.
I think so.
Yeah.
I tell you that every single day. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, what a handsome guy. I'd subscribe. We're also on all of the places you can find podcasts. They're great. I think that our voices also sing through the nation, and it's a good place to be. You learn things. If you've held out for this long, you learn a thing or two.
Yes.
So also on Instagram, BNS_radio. Look at that consistency. That's called brand recognition across the board. I love it. As far as Instagrams go for us personally, you can find me at Demitry Sebastian.
I'm at WKendall_MFT. Yes.
More knowledge incoming your way now. Now, a question that has escaped most of us our entire lives. And this question becomes more relevant the later in life, but those of us that have experienced it early in life know that the suffering, it can be delayed, but it never truly ends. But maybe we have a solution here. What can you do about lower back pain?
Well, it's super common, especially right now and coming through the pandemic and working from home, being chair bound. But usually what it boils down to, if it's not like a spinal thing, that it's either you have weak or extra stretched out, like groin and glute muscles and hamstring muscles, or it's your groin muscles that are extra tight. Sometimes both.
Yeah.
And it can also be like you have weak imbalance of like groin muscles to your glute muscles, which is also common if you sit in a chair.
Yep.
Excuse me. So that's the main cause. Is a lot of people are sitting down for many hours a day, and they're not doing things to stretch out their hips, and they're not doing things to strengthen their glutes. So that's the big thing.
I love that you bring up, I feel like the glutes are an overdevelopment problem for a lot of people, especially if you're somebody who's fitness.
Well, it's underdevelopment.
Or underdevelopment. Yeah. Is there not an imbalance issue too?
Well, it is. It's like their glutes are too weak, their hips are too tight, and it's causing their muscles to literally pull in their spine.
Sorry, if your butt's too big, it's not the solution.
It's usually the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if your back hurts, it's like you're not bootylicious yet. So I have the world's shortest hamstrings, and I have my groin isn't too bad, but I'm inflexible there as well. Yeah. And you know what I loved is that someone gave me a super easy fix, and it actually did help a lot. And they were just like the third world squat.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And to give you some clarification, if you've noticed, babies, people from Asia, people from the Middle East, people across Africa, they can all just drop their butt to the ground and just sit pretty comfortably.
Like a catcher does in baseball.
Exactly. And if you can't do that, that is not because you can't, it's because you have learned to not be able to.
Lost that, yeah.
Slash actually can do it. He's doing it right now. You're pretty close. Could go a little bit lower.
For 30 minutes.
Yeah, right? So if you spend all your time in a chair, if you think about it, but before we were a complete civilization, you took your dumps, there were no chairs, there were no toilets, you had to just squat. So we don't squat the way we used to. The only time we do squat is because we're doing like a workout or because we're picking something up.
Right.
So you lose all that flexibility. So if you spend like, a few minutes every single day, slash lasted like 1 minute. If you spend like 10, 15 minutes a day just dropping into that and like hanging out watching TV, like you will regain a lot of that flexibility.
Yeah, I usually have clients that can't do a full range of motion squat or, have trouble and have like pain in their back when they do leg exercises. Do that. I'm like, do this twice a day for like 2 to 3 weeks and you're going to see a difference.
Yeah. And weirdly enough, hamstrings, I've learned can screw up everything.
Yeah.
Because so when I run, I get a lot of calf pain. And I've been told it's because my hamstrings are not stretched out well because it connects to your calf. Yeah, oh, your back is sore. Guess what? Where's your hamstring attached? To your butt, to your back. It runs the whole thing. And it's
the posterior chain.
We're very, very easy to ignore the hamstring unless you're actually trying to, be effective in life. If you're just very sedentary, your hamstrings are just like, cool, I'm going to shrink down to the size of an M&M and nothing's ever going to be a problem. But the second you try and do other things, like if you can't touch your toes, then you have hamstring problems. You need to work on that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, you're right. You nailed it on the head when you said it connects from your heels all the way up to your back and to your neck. Actually, it goes all the way up to your neck. So it's called the posterior chain. And at any point, you can have like a muscle group that's extra tight, and it throws everything else off. So it could be your hamstrings, your glutes, and your hips, or even a very common one is ankles. Like people who are on the treadmill like multiple times a week, just spend a lot of time doing cardio, they actually can get back pain and hip pain because they have tight ankles and tight calves. So it can even go to that.
So as far as our lower back, assuming it's not small, because I also had a back injury when I was in high school, and it's surprisingly, doctors have a way of saying, oh, I'm a pitcher, I hurt my arm, how do I fix it? And they're like, stop pitching. It's like, thanks, doc, you really didn't solve my problem. Doctors have a way of saying like, okay, cool, let's circumvent the problem. A lot of the times it's rebuilding that strength. So for me, it was like I hurt my back, and how did I get rid of my back pain? I built muscles around the pain.
Right.
So my back, I have a very strong back because I never want to have that pain again.
Yeah.
So I have a nice, like my spine is very well protected by muscles. I stand up straight. I try not to hunch, things like that. So if it's an injury, there's a path to redemption in that regard. Don't let anyone tell you it's like it's game over for you. Like tons of people are told every single day you'll never walk again, and they still figure it out. Yeah. There is a path to make sure you do it safely. Trainers, wow, Wes, they'll be able to get you to a place that you can become better. But if you don't have an injury, it's probably flexibility.
Yeah, and tightness, tight muscles, weak muscles. You're right. It's if it's not an injury, then something you got to do something preventative, just like you said. And so what you did is you gained muscle in that area, which made it so your back was more supported, not only like when you're sitting there, but also when you're moving things around and lifting. And another thing people need to do is like they need to stretch their hips out and their these muscles out as well as strengthen them. Like do hip opening stretches. Some extreme cases, people have to like literally like get and apply pressure to the muscles, which unless you're getting a deep tissue massage on your groin, which is kind of like intimate, I guess.
All day.
What you can do instead is people like will lay their hips on a kettlebell, like on the ground and on the handle, and it'll push into the side of your hip where your muscles are, and that sometimes is like an extreme case of what people need to do to loosen up those hip muscles.
And stretching sucks. I know that stretching is great.
Yeah.
It's awesome. People who do yoga are weird to me. I hate yoga. It sucks. But it's one of those things, it's a lot like going on your runs, doing your lifts. A lot of these things start out sucking and then they get better.
It's like doing the dishes. It's just something you got to do.
Exactly. If you don't do, it's like, oh, I don't want to do the dishes, but then you're got cockroaches and you never have a plate, and then life sucks. So like taking that like 15 minutes a day to do your dishes, to do your stretches, your life will be better. And it's unavoidable. There's so many people. I think what was it, Goggins?
Yeah.
Like he had like his sciatic was all jacked up, and then now he stretches every single night because
he stretches like 2 hours a day or something.
It almost ruined his whole career.
Yeah.
Even like the top people. It's funny because a lot of football players take like dance classes and stuff to improve flexibility. It all comes back to that. Even some of the best bodybuilders, they go to like masseuses and like professional stretching people. It's just to keep your body like limber.
Every like high level athlete has a mobility specialist that they work with. Every single one. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's almost a given at this point in athletics. It's like if you to reach the highest levels and push your body as far as you can, it's going to take some maintenance and some like I guess some recovery, and that's what these people do. Yeah.
We've said it before, cardiovascular is going to take you to the end of the game, but so is flexibility. No matter what happens, if you have good cardiovascular health and a nice stretched out body, you're going to live a long, happy life.
Oh yeah.
Everything's going to go awesome. So next one, another great question. Is fasting good for losing weight?
Yes, it's good for losing weight because it is a mechanism which keeps you from, going over your calorie amount if you set it up right. But is it good for losing inches? Not necessarily.
Good point. It's almost like it's a way to train your body, but it's not a way to get rid of mistakes already made.
Yeah, it's easy to mess it up, and also it's like if you're trying to, get that beach bod or something like that, it's going to be, I think you can become a smaller version of you by fasting and using that as your main weight loss method. But if you're trying to like change the shape of your body, lose inches while, sculpting or toning, then it's not going to work.
You said something very wise a while ago, and you were talking about all the different types of diets. Also, it was less about how to change your body, this idea, but it was like about like, I think the word used was restriction.
Yeah.
Like calorie restriction.
Or like a framework or something.
Exactly. So there's a lot of types of fasting. I think some are better than others.
Yeah.
So, if you want to do like a window,
Yeah.
That's great. If you have an eating problem, it's like, I only eat from 8 to 8. I only eat from, whatever, 10-hour window. I'm not going to do all this math for you guys. Some people do one meal a day, which I'm skeptical on, but I've heard it's worked.
Yeah.
Things like that. It does work. It's a thing. And it's usually just preventing you from being able to fill yourself with garbage, because you need to be a lot smarter about your volume you're eating, this, that, and the other. Because if you're maintaining it, you're just going to go to bed hungry every night if you do it wrong.
Right.
But with that said, I don't know how much I subscribe to things like water fasts. Like, I skip an entire day. Like, I've heard of people who say, like, every Sunday I don't eat.
Yeah.
And obviously they're healthy, they do their thing, and I don't disagree with it. I mean, a lot of them more consider it like a cleanse.
Right.
And maybe it's just like a test of
I think it's
grit.
like ice baths, It's like something challenging and difficult.
It won't solve your problems, but I understand it.
Yeah.
But then again, things like doing like juice cleanses, stuff like that, long-term fasts, I don't really see a quality in that. I don't think it's beneficial.
Yeah.
So
doing a 10-hour fast, that's hardly a fast. I'm not even talking about that. That's completely different, because that's mostly sleeping and then skipping breakfast. There's plenty of people who get good results from that, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like what you're saying, like multiple day fasts, or, doing a regular 24-hour fast or something like that.
So it's, fasting, intermittent fasting would be really the term. I think it's great. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good way so that people can make it a lifestyle instead of a diet kind of thing. Because all you're saying is, I'm only allowed to eat for this 8 to 10 hour window because I'm a little piggy and I will eat all night if otherwise. So you're setting rules for yourself, and I think that's great. And it also means you don't have to be crazy and take things out of your diet and yada, yada, yada. That being said, it's not going to be some crazy life-changing thing if you spend all that time crushing 5,000 calories.
Yeah, if you don't do your work ahead of time, you could just like going vegan, it does not make it automatically healthy. You have to actually do your homework and know what you're doing.
Oh, trust me, I learned that when I did the vegetarian thing for a while. It's like I was just crushing carbs. I was crushing Morningstar stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there's a bad way to do any of it. But with that said, if you're having trouble losing weight, that is a solution that may work for you. And I think it's great. And like you said, there's still the work to be done. And also, it's going to take a while. And also, here's the thing. Fasting, it's a lot like keto in that if you screw up, it will undo itself very quickly.
Yeah.
Fasting is the same way. So if you're on like a clock, if your metabolism's finally understood what's going on, if you jack up that, you like get ready to, get a bunch of water weight, get ready to see a lot of things change on the scale, feel a lot worse, and have to start from step one.
It's like if you go off the rails, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice you got to make, and it's a lifestyle. But life's hard. Welcome to it.
Yeah.
And this is now, again, we've had a few that I've said are my favorites, but I think this is my actual favorite. How many protein shakes can I have in one day?
So I get asked that a lot. Sometimes, people are looking for an easier way to add good amounts of protein without having to spend more time on dishes or in the kitchen. I say I've seen people get away with 2 shakes a day. This is and I personally think I can handle about 3 scoops of protein in one day before my body's had enough. Any more, it's not like I automatically have diarrhea if I have more than that, which is a good indicator you're having too much. What happens is I start to become mineral deficient because whey protein takes up a lot of minerals when you digest it.
The most I ever did at one time was 4. I do 2 in the morning, 2 at night.
Yeah, that's what I've done, and that's a little too much for me. A lot of people I know can do that, though.
I didn't find that it was bad in any way. It honestly just became one of those things where it was just like a bother.
Yeah.
And it worked for me. And again, your mileage may vary, but also, is there too much protein, we'll say in a shake form, that you can consume at one moment that it's not even a benefit anymore? Like you're just wasting money?
Yeah, kind of. It depends on what your goals are. But if your goal is like you're trying to make muscle gains or
Bless you.
Have maximal performance, then it's going to be hard to overeat too much at one time.
Okay.
I'd say if you're doing 2 scoops at once, you might not use some of it for exactly what you need, but it's better than having too much of carbs or fat.
Yeah. So the way it was told to me that works the best, and again, it was one of those things of your mileage may vary, but the best way to consume too much protein powder is to do it 1 scoop at a time like if you're gonna do 3, do 1 in the morning, 1 at lunch, 1 at night.
That's the best way you heard?
Yeah, that you want to spread it out through your day.
Yeah.
Because they said that if you double up on it, like that's fine, but it's kind of like watering a plant. A lot of it's gonna dump out the bottom. So it's like if you're gonna consume it all in one day anyways, just go ahead and spread it out so that you're kind of like keeping your metabolism going and everything.
Right.
And you're not hitting those highs and lows, because also if you're consuming all of your protein in protein powder, you're missing it throughout the day too. So you're going to be eating less at lunch, you're going to be eating less here and there, depending. It depends. But yeah, I was told like 1 at morning, 1 at lunch, 1 at night. If you're doing 4, do 1 in the morning, 1 before lunch, 1 after lunch, 1 at night. And it was just, that was air quotes the superior way to do it, just because your body would receive it better. Is that kind of like pseudoscience? Does that make sense? Is it?
Well, shit. If you're doing 4 shakes a day, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I did 4, but it was like morning, night. But I did do for like a year. I did 3 morning, lunch, night, and that was just because I was in college and you can't get meals in anyway. So
I think the idea of having an equal amount, per meal is a good idea. Like that makes sense. Like why just have like all 4 scoops at once? Why not just do that? You're right. That's not going to be the most effective or efficient way to do it. What a lot of bodybuilders do is they'll have 6 meals a day, right? They have all 6. They divide each meal evenly in protein. So they'll have like 50 grams all 6 meals.
God, that's so much protein.
Yeah. So what is that? That's like 250, right?
Math. 100.
What's 5 times 6?
40.
40.
Oh,
400.
400 grams of protein. Yeah.
Glad to have Elias back. We couldn't have done that math without him.
Wait. 5 times. No, it's not 5 times 6. It's. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is. Okay.
400.
Yeah, so 400 grams.
We went to college.
That's actually what some bodybuilders eat. I'm not joking.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, like I'm doing about 35 grams per meal 6 times a day. So that's what I'm doing at my level. So that's because I would rather have an excess of protein than like not have enough.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, is there too much protein you can drink in one day? We've talked about the egg whites. If you do the biotin, you kind of remove that deficiency problem with like the minerals. You cover some base. So the answer is a soft no. Like we're gonna call it like a maybe you should try to balance your diet a little bit better. It's like, great, you found a way to only consume bachelor chow. We always make the joke about that, where it's like, yeah, if I was a guy, they just made a dog food for men, I'd just eat that. And it's like, no, you wouldn't. It sucks. You'd get tired of it. It's
called feast mode. I'm just kidding.
The Soylent Green is made of people. It is something you can do, but maybe not like, I wouldn't recommend it kind of thing. It's like, if it works for you, be my guest, but I wouldn't recommend it to someone like out of the gate. It's like, if a new guy walked up to you like, I need to get a lot of protein right now, you wouldn't say, cool, you're going to just drink only protein shakes all day. That would not be...
It'd probably be one of the last options.
If you find yourself getting there and it works for you, then sure, whatever.
Yeah, that's why I do the egg whites, is because, that's another protein source I can get in that's different. And then we talked about this last episode, then the whey protein, so I can handle another 50 grams and still be able to digest it, where if I did another 2 scoops of whey protein, I would have some serious issues. So like, that's why protein combinations is becoming popular with dieters, because you're mixing different sources at different points in time in the day so that you don't have digestional issues.
Also, try and get some fiber in, kids.
Yes.
If you're drinking only protein, I'm going to go and say right now, you're probably not getting enough veggies.
You're probably going through a lot of toilet paper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your farts stink. Your duties stink. Yeah. People know. Get your fiber in and just stay chasing that anabolic window.
Yep. So what do we say? How many shakes is...
I'm going to lock in 3 is probably like the high end of what I'd recommend.
So 3 scoops of protein?
4.
No, I'm saying 4 is almost too many. I'd say that I would say to someone who I was giving a recommendation to today, who is pretty healthy, has been going to the gym, and they're saying like, I'm just really struggling to get that protein in.
Yeah.
I would say 1 scoop of protein, morning, lunch, night. And I don't think that's a big ask. I don't think it's going to cause them any problems. That would be my recommendation. Anything more than that, I would be hesitant, because I just like, you're getting into like weird zone.
I would say the most that someone could have is 3 to 4 scoops a day. And probably not all at once.
Yeah, I'm going to go spread out. I'm spreading those out.
Scoop 4 to the face.
Yeah. Oh my God, if you're dry scooping protein, you're an absolute
That's the new
savage.
TikTok trend.
Is it really?
Well, dry scooping creatine and pre-workout is.
Well, that's been a thing for a while. YouTube has been doing that.
Now it's popular.
People won't stop doing it now. It used to be like one of those like, oh, look how crazy I am, straight to the dome. Like, this ghost energy is so good. Like, straight to the head. But now it's like people just do it. They're like be talking to their camera, take it to the dome, drink the water. It's like, you guys know you can make that into like nice juice, right? It's like meant to be pleasant in water. You don't have to do it this way.
People think that you have to do it that way. I don't know why.
I don't get it. I'm getting old. It's all downhill from here for me.
There's a YouTube video,
want it to be evil,
like saying that it's actually worse for you to do it that way. There's like a guy debunking it on YouTube. He's like, "Look, guys, you're not doing it right. You get more like isotopes or fucking something." You know.
Well, so I learned this because I'm stupid and I hate chewable tablets. And I learned that if a medicine is chewable, you're supposed to chew it.
Yeah.
Because that helps with how it disperses your body. If you just swallow it like in a clump, like me, because you're dumb, it just like your body now has to dissolve the clump and it gets slowly like going dispersing. It's like no, like you chew it so it can just hit like your bloodstream.
Yeah.
So if you are taking it in a lump, like a cinnamon challenge, like it's now it has to hit your stomach. It's got to like get the moisture. Like if you're unlucky, it all went down in one clump. Now it's got to break apart.
Right.
I just don't get it. I mean, like you said, why do you want to make it evil? Why do you want it like literally like we've gotten all these ingredients and we made them so pleasant and nice so that your body can tingle and it tastes like fruit punch and you guys are just like, no, mace me in the face. And also, have you ever like seen someone cough it up when they do it? Yeah, I was in the car when someone did that.
Most of us have been there at some point. If you've been doing the pre-workout dry game for long enough, you've been there. You've definitely like had a cough or a sneeze or something.
Just like LeBron James, it like into the whole freaking. Oh yeah. Now everyone's inhaling it.
Steve Austin.
Straight into the eyeballs.
I just like dated myself.
You did.
It's okay. Steve Austin, no, I was there for him.
Yeah, you're just happy about him that smacks 2 beers in the air and chugs them.
Yeah, it goes everywhere.
Dude, I used to smell what The Rock was cooking.
I used to smell. We never did stop.
We were there for WWE.
Okay, glad.
As always, guys, thank you. Don't drink too many protein shakes. Your poopies will not be good. We just talked about this last week.
Yes.
Care about your poopies. And as always, BNS_radio, across the board, everything. YouTube, the podcast, everything. You can find me on Instagram at Demitry Sebastian.
You can find me at WKendall_MFT. Click the link to apply for training and see our videos and stuff. Thanks, guys.
Get the training.